Good afternoon, class. This is chapter 1 for entrepreneurship class. Let's start sharing the screen first. So today we will talk about chapter 1, which is part of the section 1. It's about the entrepreneurship mindset. In the entrepreneurship mindset is basically, it is about the nature of entrepreneurship. What kind of people are the entrepreneurships usually? Entrepreneurship action begin with the nexus of lucrative opportunity and the enterprise individuals. An entrepreneurship opportunity could comes from a new market, you're penetrating a new market, a new product for existing market, or you have an existing market, which is you are trying to bring a new products, or a new products to a new market. As example, is basically when you have, when I used to have higher education solutions, I started to export it to different countries. So that is where we established in the Middle East and all North Africa a new market for the higher education solution, or a new product for an existing market. So in the beginning, when I started working for higher education, there was no solution for higher education. So that was a new product that I brought to the existing market. And sometimes you bring a new product to a new market. So these are the three ways of entrepreneurship. Now, as an entrepreneur, you need to have an entrepreneur action and entrepreneur thinking. And it is, you can find it in Macmillan Shepard model explain how knowledge and motivation influence the two stages of entrepreneurship. Now, basically, the first stage is the realization that there is an opportunity exists for someone. So as an entrepreneur, you think, okay, I think there is an opportunity in the field of, for example, solution for higher education. Then you start thinking of saying, well, is this determined whether it's an opportunity for themselves? Like, is it that the opportunities for me or for others? So the two stages is a stage one is the realization of opportunity exists for someone. Stage two is determining whether this opportunity, it is an opportunity for themselves. So an entrepreneur says, okay, there is a deal, there is a business that we can do it in new market or existing market. And then you start saying, okay, is this for me? Can I do it? Or it's available for somebody else? Acting on and pursuing the identify opportunity, it involves the entrepreneurship thinking. So when you're approaching an opportunity, you start thinking of as an entrepreneurship. How entrepreneurs think? Entrepreneurs sometimes make a decision in highly uncertain environment with high task and minutes time pressures. So sometimes you just make a decision whether you're going to go into a business, say in a war zone, and you're trying to establish a business. Like one of the stages that I did, I went to the Iraq establishing the higher education, and it was a war zone. Assuming that this will settle very soon, and we would be the beginner, the first people into that business. So it's sometimes you are involved in uncertain decision, uncertain environment, high stake, and lots of pressures. So entrepreneur need to think structurally, engage in bricolage, and then we will talk about that, effectuate, and cognitive adaptive. So these are the structures and the characteristics that an entrepreneur, the way he's supposed to, or she's supposed to think. Now, forming entrepreneur beliefs often require a great mental leaps that you have to think, ahead of everybody, much better than everybody, understanding better the situation, because everybody see them around you are happy with their jobs and revenue that they're generating. So your thoughts should be much bigger than that. So, and it's launched usually from the entrepreneur existing knowledge. Now, this existing knowledge, it comes from studying, working, and activities daily. So there is a superficial similarities and structural similarities. The source, for example, superficial similarities like the market, whether they are similar, this market and that market, how much is different, and the destination, which is the place that you example, like the technology that you will be using, help the entrepreneur to make these creative mental leap. So these two things that helps him to have this mental leap, which is he has the technology and he sees that the market um, similarities there. The challenge often lies in making creative mental leaps based on structural similarities when the technology matches the market. So there's the structural similarities. You would see these things like everybody's doing it a certain way, so you need to do one more step extra there. Now, we said that we're going to explain what's the bricolage means. Entrepreneur often lack of resources, and you don't need to have the full resources in order for you to be an entrepreneur. So it's really most of the entrepreneurs that do not have 100% of the resources to start their business, so they usually have a lack of resources. They sometimes seek the resources from others to provide this lack of necessary to experiment and generate entrepreneur opportunities or engage in a bricolage. So bricolage means it refers to taking existing resources and experimenting it, tinkering it, repackaging it, and framing them to be used in a way that they are not originally designed or convinced. And you see this lots of in Bollywood movies. Probably they probably would take an idea from a Hollywood movie and they try to repackage it, change it a little bit, and provide it for the Indian community, which just makes it more interesting. As also, you would see this example in the Japanese car manufacturing, which is they take a product being invented somewhere else and they repackage it, they make it better and reframing it and give it to the market back. And that's what makes it Japan is a very production country, because of the things that they don't invent a lot, but they do repackage things and makes it better. Their job is to make it better. That's what South Korea is doing to make things much better. So they're trying to follow the Japanese way of doing things. From this process of making do, entrepreneurs can create opportunities. Now, effectuation A causal process involves thinking of a desired outcome and then coming up with a plan to achieve that outcome. So if you want to open a restaurant, you have a desire to open a restaurant, and then you build up a plan to come to outcome to establish how you're going to open a restaurant. So the effectuation process look at what a person has and then select from several possible outcomes. Let me give you a good example. You have two chefs. One chef who wants to cook something, but he has to go and do shopping from outside to make things. And there is another chef who comes in his room, and you've done this so many times. You came to home and you saw what's in the home, and then you cook something out of whatever you have there. And this is what uh, you know makes the effectuation process look at what a person has and then select from the possible outcomes. So most of managers need to take an entrepreneurial mindset. Now, as we said, that managers usually are not into entrepreneurial mindset, but these days, because things is changing so quickly and environment, the only constant thing in life is probably change. So the managers start thinking how to be a more entrepreneur. And in order for them to develop this mindset, manager needs to really attempt to make sense of opportunities. So they see around, they start looking at the opportunities and see or if there is an opportunity for the business. And constantly question their uh, domain logic, whether they are doing it right or you need some adjustment to do it, perform better, and then revisit what they think true about the market and firm. So they also comes and start re-evaluating and evaluating about what's in the market and what's in a firm and the firm that they are working on. So they have to do these on a constant base on to make sure that they are, ahead of the others. Now, cognitive adaptability. To be good at the effectuation, you must have a cognitive adaptability. And it is the extent of entrepreneur arm dynamic, flexible, self-regulating, and engaged in the sense and acting on change in their environment. So how much is the entrepreneur is a flexible, how much is dynamic, self-regulating, and acting on this according to the environment. Reflected in the entrepreneur's ability to reflect, open, understand, control their thinking and learning. Now, learn to be cognitive by asking these four questions. One is a comprehensive questions. So what's the market? What's the business? How the market's trying to have a comprehensive and full understanding of your market. The connection task, how these small things, tasks that's happening can be connected to each other. And sometimes you would find your leads between all these connecting tasks. Sometimes lots of people will find a small business between the businesses that's happening. And then you need to look at the strategic tasks. Which tasks are important? How are you going to go and do the strategic approach? You have the flexibility. You have to have the reflection task. So ability to reflect to the situation back and forth. Now, those able to increase the cognitive adaptability, can adapt to a new situation, be creative, and communicate their reasoning. In the next chapters, we will talk on the details of how to be an entrepreneur. What's the stages of being an entrepreneur? Here, we're just going to give a general understanding of who's entrepreneur. Now, so the intention to act entrepreneurial action is most often intentional. So you always have to make sure you're doing this, you're not doing it like, by luck becomes an entrepreneur. You have most of the time is intentional. When the action is feasible and desirable, there is a strong intention to act. Entrepreneurial intentions can be explained in the same way. Entrepreneurial self-efficacies refers to the convention, how much you are convinced that one can successfully execute the behavior required. So how much you're successful, you can establish the business and start making money and have the business going on. And perceived desirable, whether when you do these things, whether it's getting return, gives a return to you. It doesn't matter whether it's financial or emotional. So there is two things that help you to do to be an entrepreneur. One is, can you do that? And the second, when I'm doing that, am I going to get paid back financially or emotionally? So the degree to which the entrepreneur has a favorable or unfavorable evaluation of a potential entrepreneurial outcomes, and you need to see how much is what's the outcome out of your action. The entrepreneurial background and the characteristic. One, an entrepreneur, how would we know if somebody is entrepreneurial? And what kind of characteristic he has. Excuse me. First of all, education. A broad knowledge allows for you to discover of the potential entrepreneurial and assist the adaptabilities. So you need information, you need a broad knowledge, you need to, do your education, to be a better entrepreneur. That doesn't mean people who do not educate themselves, they don't go to school. That doesn't mean they're not entrepreneurial. But when you're educated, you become more aware of the situation. And second, provides the transferable knowledge, skills, and problem-solving abilities. So a broad knowledge allows for discovery of potential opportunities and assist the adaptabilities, and then provide a transferable knowledge, skills, and problem-solving abilities. And the age also has a big effect. Entrepreneurial age reflects to the entrepreneur experience. And most of the entrepreneurs are between 22 to 45 when they're starting. So the entrepreneur experience is usually when you're working in a restaurant, you're not going to go and start working in IT. When you're most likely if you're working in IT, you're not going to work in a restaurant business. So this is like it will. You don't. Maybe you provide a solution, IT solution for restaurants, but not in making food. And if you're making food, because of your experience, you will be expanding or establishing a business. So the work history plays a role in the growth of success of a new venture. Um, the knowledge and experience in the way of financing, how to get your finance. And there is a full chapter or two chapter where we'll be talking about how you're going to finance your entrepreneur business. Product development, manufacturing, distribution, and marketing are particularly important. Manufacturing and distribution, and this is the stage where we I usually teach it in a supply chain management and marketing. We will touch on marketing, and as a matter of fact, one of your assignments is about marketing, because big part of the business plan that you're going to do is marketing also. So these are the work history, which is the plays very great work, plays a role in the growth and success of a new venture, and your experience in financing, product development, manufacturing, and distribution, and marketing are particularly important also. So the role and support system. A role model is important factor influencing the entrepreneur. So when we say a role model, it doesn't mean say you might have somebody that you look up to it and you want it to be like him, and sometimes says, well, if this person can do it, why I cannot do it? And this is another way of looking at the role model. Is like sometimes you see people who reach their goal, and you think you're much better than them, or you can do much better work. So this is one of the role models. The other role model could be somebody you want to get to that level. So, and these roles models, it can be a relative or a successful community entrepreneur, and can serve as a mentor before and after launching the venture. So he could be your mentor, can help you in launching the venture. And he doesn't have to be a successful entrepreneur. He might be somebody who failed a few times, so he can pass this knowledge how to avoid this failing. So be an open-minded when it comes into different mentors you're looking at. As a contacts expand, they form a network with the density and certainty. So an entrepreneur needs a network of financiers, network of family, network of co-workers, all these things. So as it expands, you need to have a densities in it. The entrepreneur should establish a moral support network of family and friends. So he's always get a support from his family and his friend. The entrepreneur also needs advice and counsel obtained from members of professional support network, so they can advise him and help him in selecting best financing way, best businesses, where can they start, and all these things. And mentors, the entrepreneur has also advice and counsel obtained from members of professional supports and network. And we said as the mentors, business associates, suppliers, trade associate, and other personal affiliation. You're not there in the market alone, and you need somebody's other people help. So you try to establish your network, your community to have a successful business. Now, when we talk about network, entrepreneurial activity is embedded in networks, interpersonal relationship, access to stores, resource. I keep putting the pictures up and down because I think it just says that you need to read while you are looking at it. These networks offer access to resources, so you need access to resources. Assistance in discovering and exploring new opportunities. Opportunity to exchange goods and services and receive feasibility that strengthens entrepreneurial intention. It would be nice before you start producing, you already have somebody is buying or exchanging your goods and services. So that makes it very easy for you. And this is developed through your networking. Sustainable entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship action can both sustain and develop. Sustainable entrepreneurship is focused on preserving nature, supporting life and community in the pursuit of the opportunity to bring future products and services into existence for gain. So that you are really supporting the nature, the community to produce the new businesses. Those usually with a greater knowledge of the natural environment are more likely to notice change in the environment from the opportunities that forms the opportunities. So you can look at the around you environment. People have a tendency to go green. People have a tendency to sustain their environment. So if you can bring a product or a service that can really does not harm the environment, that can be a very good chance for the success for you. So this is about chapter 1. And let me know, we will start going on a detail base every chapter on each subject. Today, we just wanted to talk about more about um, who is the person who can be entrepreneur. And by the way, an entrepreneur does sometimes is born as an entrepreneur and sometimes it gets developed. So don't feel uh, bad about yourself that you're not an entrepreneur. No, all of us, there is an entrepreneurship inside us. It's just a practice plus knowledge plus experience that you might gain from this course and from outside experience. Thank you.